The third tab on the side panel, the Settings tab, contains a collection of options for customizing images and changing how they are displayed. We've already touched on some of these in previous videos, but we'll go over them all again here as well. From this panel, you can change the type of image from a dot plot to a heat map from the first drop-down. Some settings on this tab are only relevant to dot plots and will not be available when switching to a heat map. The cell size controls the pixel size of individual cells on the image. Increasing this value will display less of the image, but at a higher magnification, and vice versa. The Reset Ratios toggle applies only to dot plots. On a dot plot, the column with the highest value for a row will have a circle set to the maximum size, and all other columns are relative to that. If you select and filter a region of your image that no longer contains the maximum size for the row, you can activate the Reset Ratios toggle. A new maximum will be defined for the visible portion of the image, and the other columns will be set relative to that, creating a self-contained image. The Fix Plot toggle will fix the plot to the left side of the viewport when activated. This is often convenient when you do not have a lot of space in your browser window and want to detach the minimap and have it open at the same time as another tab. The color palette settings allow you to change the fill color of images and the edge color on dot plots, and the color scales can be inverted if desired. Inverting the color scale is recommended when smaller values are actually better than larger ones, for example when they represent a distance metric. The Filters area contains several settings for controlling what is displayed on the image and the dynamic range for the color scale. The abundance cap is the value to cap the color scale at. Any value at or above this level will be set to the maximum color, as you can see on the legend. The abundance minimum defines the minimum value required for a row to be displayed on the image. At least one entry in the row must meet this condition, or it will be excluded. Adjusting this value upwards will reduce the number of rows that are displayed, and will also adjust the lower bound on the color scale, as seen on the legend. Like the abundance minimum, the primary filter defines a score cutoff to use in order for a row to be included in the image. At least one entry in the row must meet this condition, or the row will be excluded. The secondary filter is only available for dot plots, and it's used to define the medium confidence range on the image, i.e. things that do not pass the primary filter but do pass this secondary one. This filter does not affect what rows are included or excluded from the image. It is just a visual cue for the score confidence. By default, a row only needs to pass the filter criteria for a single column to be included on the image. Filters can also be applied selectively to individual columns by selecting them from the Filter By dropdown. In this example, I'm selecting two columns, and on minimizing the dropdown, the only rows displayed on the image are those passing the filtering requirements specifically for at least one of the selected columns. If you select an area for filtering, there may be rows or columns present in the area where not a single entry passes the filter specified on the Settings panel. By default, rows that do not have any entries passing the filters will be excluded from the filtered image, but columns will still be included. This can be controlled from the Clear Failing Rows and Clear Failing Columns toggles. When activated, a failing row or column, i.e. one with no entries passing the filter criteria, will be excluded from the filtered image. Disabling these options will prevent this behavior and show all rows and columns on the image regardless of the filter settings. Lastly, any change to settings can be undone from the bottom of the panel or by pressing the Reset shortcut, Ctrl-U.